Okay, so today we are playing some 16 and L on two tables. This will likely be the last episode of the quarantine grind, at least for the time being. I go back to work on Wednesday, so it looks as though this will have to be retired as a series. But obviously, if we go back into lockdown, then I'll be bringing it back. So I'm not going to discontinue it today, but we'll see how it goes. I'm playing some 16 because Bean, my student, moved up to 16, and we can't be having that, so I'm just going to play some 16 today, explore maybe some of the differences we may have noticed in his video. A couple of other things first. Thanks for all the support, comments and likes and stuff. If you do enjoy what I'm doing, then just consider dropping a like down or subscribing so you don't miss anything else in the future. And also, I am offering coaching. If you're interested at all in talking about that or anything else, you can catch me at Easty22 with 3 Ys on Twitter, or Easty22poker@gmail.com. That's with 3 Ys also. So without any further ado, we should jump into some action. I haven't had a losing session in a little bit, so I am due to get one of those soon. We're going to open up the King 6 because people fold too much and this guy looks pretty nitty. And we are going to kick things off on the left-hand table by getting in this Ace King against the short stack, if he wants to. He decides to call. The flop is pretty damn good, so we're going to start small with range and then jam the turn. Seems very reasonable. I think we can start pretty damn small here. He decides to call, and I think we have a pretty obvious jam. If he has a 7, well played. Doesn't look like he's going to have a 7. Hold. Do you have the King of Diamonds? That'll do. So he made a good start. Yeah, pretty good value from that guy there, playing terribly. So we're going to make sure that we go back and he gets the appropriate treatment of a pink tag. Opening up pocket jacks under the gun. And getting a call from a potentially nitty player with not a lot of hands on him, so we're going to probably not make too much attention of that. Going to start slightly bigger against 4 opponents. Do block the Jack of Spades, so that's going to be a high frequency bluff card for everyone. So when they don't raise, it's going to be probably better for us. Sorry, when they do raise, we're going to be in more trouble more often than not because we block a lot of bluffs. Opening up the A7 on the right. Checking this turn probably for balance seems pretty good. Don't want to get raised particularly. Nice to have some flushes sometimes on the river when checking also. Certainly not folding the turn. And we will check this river and hope to show down. That is a very unfortunate river, to say the least. We had him pretty hard covered there, but that's okay. That is how it is. This jam is probably going to have to be a fold, even though he could have any 2 cards, really. Opening up the 9s. Could have bet the turn with the jacks, maybe, but not too worried about that. This is going in. Maybe hold would be nice. Couple more, 1 more, that'll do. Yeah, pretty standard spot there. Just, he's short and we're not going to call out position and let him flop over cards and stuff. It's just a pretty clear get in and hope for the best, which we did a pretty good job of. Opening up the pocket 10s and defending the big blind with ace-8 offsuit. Flopping a set on the left and a couple of backdoors on the right. A pretty good board for our range on right. Not the best board for our range on left, but we are going to have to continue here with this part of our range. And I'm going to bet slightly bigger than normal on the right, just because this board favors me a little bit and I've got some backdoors. I do get raised. 10 of clubs is a card I expect my opponent to have sometimes, at least when he wants to bluff, so maybe he's not bluffing as much as normal. Don't particularly want to see the jack of clubs, so I do think I'm going to go for 3-bet, get this in. Seems good against the green. And we have a clear call, and that's going to win. We're going to need some help. That's not going to cut it. And not sure how that happened. Let me have a look. If I remember correctly, we just had a flat call from our opponent. We did. So he can have a pink tag for sure. Obviously he can have like jack 8 sometimes, but we have outs against that. Blocking the 10 of clubs is a consideration that we maybe could just slow down on the flop. But at the end of the day, fella's got pocket queens and we are losing a stack there 100% of the time. So really not much to talk about, I don't think. Pocket aces and ace 8 of spades are going to be opens for me. Get a call from a short stack and, you know, same sort of plan. Very connected board. He's going to want to continue quite a bit, so I'm going to size up. He raises me, and with the ace hearts we can consider just taking cards off, but I think he's just going to get it in regardless, and I'd rather get it in now than later, rather than like trying to trap him on the turn and stuff. He's probably just going to stick it in with like most anything that he has here, like this. And now all we have to do is hold, which is the easy part. Not. And we do hold, which is certainly enjoyable. His play is beyond terrible, and we're going to make sure that he has a pink as well. So you can see, even at tick 16 and L, people are generally like pretty terrible. Loads of favourable spots. I mean, the queens against 10 sand is just weird as hell, but you know, apart from that, seems pretty good. In terms of how often we're going to be better than opponents, we checked for balance on the left, and we're going to call the flop. And I'm going to 4-bet get it in with the queens. Calling turn. Obviously we can't fold, and sighing on the river hard if he jams. And we do win, so I like our line there a lot against a bad player that's going to be bluffing way too much when we checked him on the flop thinking that we can't have an ace. So yeah, I like that line. Under the gun limps, and I think against someone that's going to be this bad, I think raising to isolate, maybe he'll fold sometimes, and then other times we could get in some really good situations with this kind of hand. So we'll start with an ISO and go from there. That seems like a pretty good flop. King 5 deuce is going to be incredible for me, too often for me not to bet my whole range, I think. So I'm going to bet my whole range. And on the left, I think we can start slightly bigger than we might normally. There's going to be some queen X out there, and this guy's bad, so he might call more often than not. If he doesn't have a queen, he's going to have a hard time calling on late streets anyway, so against those hands we want to bet now. He raises me, which we love to see. I think he can have a queen quite often here. There's not many draws, so I think we're going to start with a call and hope to not see a queen, and then maybe just call down. I think that raising would be probably a little bit premature. If he is bluffing with something nothingness, then you know we don't really want to be folding that out. Or he could just have pocket queens again like the other guy did, and you know I'd have a really fun time with that. But obviously here I think we have a very clear call line against this opponent in position. That river seems okay, but it might dissuade him from betting a queen. Yeah, I think we have a jam, but it's just the one thing about not fast playing against this guy, I guess, that if we do see one of those overcards, I mean I do block one of the overcards from coming. And it does give me a boat, so King was really the only river card that I didn't want to see, so it's unfortunate we saw it, but we are going to jam. And he was trapping, which is interesting, but we managed to get all his money. I mean, you can say that we can have some sympathy for this guy, but at the end of the day, he's limp called under the gun with King Queen offsuit. The run out's obviously very, very favourable for me, but this is why you don't limp you know, and then this is why I ISO'd with this hand. Obviously, it might be a little bit, because obviously he's not folding very often, but we are going to be in position. We do get to make some very good hands, like nut hands. This is obviously an incredibly good board for me in this situation. But this is why I did the ISO, because you just get paid off without real thought from your opponents, this particular kind of opponent. So I just think it's a really good spot. So I like my play there. Can call or 3-bet in. I can't call with the 7s. I can call or 3-bet with the ace queen. Against an unknown, I'm going to defend my big blind on this occasion. Means I get to do well on this board when I wouldn't normally, which I'd like to at some frequency. I should probably RNG'd that, but it's nice to have ace queen on this board in general sometimes, or like ace jack. Checking again, and I think my line's going to be check call, check call, check call. I think in this spot I like to prefer to fold the ace queen because I don't think I'm going to get too many folds from these opponents. Calling again with ace queen and checking the river, and if he bets again, we do block king queen, which he may have taken as a double barrel, but I think I would have had a hard time folding the river, and I think he should absolutely be barreling that river. That seems like really weak play. So now I'm just going to make a note on this guy saying hasn't got the stones, so that we know he can't bluff very often. It's because if you're not bluffing with this, you're not bluffing enough. So it's good to know. Opening up the pocket nines. Not the best, obviously, for nines, but very good for our range. Going to start small, get some folds from like 7, 8. Happy days. Get some folds from 7, 8, and then like, I mean, he's just going to fold quite often, and I don't get bluffed off the hand, which is nice. Just a bit of protection, really. Without a spade, he might float like a 1 spade hand for that small as well, so we get some value and protection. Started by raising here against 2 weaker opponents. We're going to bet bigger than we might normally because the board's very connected and our opponents are terrible. Betting and betting again is the only line I want to take here for sure. Against this board, we're going to have loads of checkbacks. This board is kind of terrible for me against the big blind, so we're going to check. I've seen worse turns. Somehow our friend over here managed to have a straight, which is impeccable. I mean, I'm really surprised he didn't raise the flop. I mean, that's just doesn't make any sense to me. But yeah, we do get stacked, which is wonderful. We been in a couple of those situations today where there's nothing we could have done, and sometimes you're going to be in those and there is nothing that you can do about it. That was certainly one of them, and you just move on. Opening up ace king on the small blind, getting a quick call and flopping well. Going to see bet probably whole range here. Turns an ace. I would have expected to hear from him with at least some of his flush draws. We are going to bet again. Don't want to give a free card to a random spade. If he raises me, we're in a real tough spot. He is on the nittier side also, so I would expect him to not have many raises here as bluffs. But he certainly can, and we certainly can't fold for this size. And obviously we have some nut outs as well. Checking river. He is nitty. We are going to have a few better hands. We do have some flushes. We do have sets, all of them. He is nitty. These are all things we need to consider. So, quite often people may raise flop with a flush draw. This guy I would expect maybe not. It's also a very good turn card for me, the ace. Having said that, am I too high up in my range here? Or is ace queen with a spade better call than this? Very tough spot. I'm trying to decide whether I'm too up in my range or not, and whether this guy's bluffing enough. He does have a 10% 3-bet, which is high enough and an 82% C bet. My lean is fold, but I'm wondering if I'm too high up. This is a very interesting spot. He can even have 5-7 now that he didn't raise. God, this would be a pretty tough fold. I'm going to fold. Pretty horrible. I just think that he can have the flushes because he's not supposed to raise me on this board, so he doesn't have to, you know, he can easily have spades and loads of different combos of them because he called the big blind. He looks like he might be fairly straightforward, and I don't think that many people are going to want to bluff me on this kind of run out when the ace and king are obviously very good for me. Yeah, I'm not sure about this spot. I just folded because I can have, like, every single set. I can have 5-7. I can have king. I can have, well, and I can have flushes. So I don't need to call with this as well. I was wondering if I was too high up, but I think I'm probably not. And I think this is super close, but I think it's fine. Our opponent, from the other hand, that made me fold top two, is raising up, and we are going to call. We flop middle pair, so we're going to start with a call if you see bets. Seems good. Turns a 3. Doesn't change very much. He could have 5-4, but so can I. We are going to call the turn. And we're going to check back and take our showdown. And this right here, and I'll put this in because this is important. This right here is why we I think probably made the correct fold. This guy seems like a very straightforward kind of nit. To not even value bet this river against a big blind, I think is, obviously he's checking to call, but he checked really quickly. I just think that I probably made the right decision. Nothing has happened for so long. No spots, like everyone's just folding every hand. Everyone's a super nit. Gonna open up the 7-6 of spades. I'm gonna get 3-bet, and I'm going to take a flop. Unless this complete and total nit in the big blind decides to 4-bet, in which case we'll fold. But yeah, now we can certainly call. Flopping 3 6s, which is nice. I think his C's bet sizing I do not like. But I guess I'm going to continue with like my good overpairs and stuff quite often, and then fold a lot else. But it's so dry that I think I'm going to struggle to call with floats now. But we do just call for sure. He bets again, we'll jam. Calling a really weird raise here. Yeah, we're gonna jam now. We could jam now, or we could just call. We're not folding anyway, and we are in position. But I don't want any. If he has like 10s, I don't want him to fold. So, gonna jam now. We also could have like 7-8 of hearts that we floated. He decides to fold, so maybe we acted prematurely there. But I'm not going to have too many value jams, and if I want to bluff with 7-8 of hearts or 7-8, then I'm going to need to have something going on. Defending our ace-9 offsuit, flopping top pair. So guy looks like a pretty good player. We're going to have some checkbacks here because we're not going to do very well on this board. I'm very surprised that this kind of player is not c-betting here more aggressively. So it makes me think that he does have some sort of value in his hand. He calls, and I think we have to bet again. I think he's going to have a king a lot when he does this. Yeah. It just seemed like that kind of player was not going to just be... Because sometimes bad players are just going to give up there, thinking they didn't hit, and that doesn't matter because they're not thinking about ranges. But he should know that this is really good for his range, but he also is going to want to balance with this kind of hand, so... Defending my 9 jack, flopping a gut shot. Don't really want to have a raising range. Maybe I could put deuces in it, but that's not a lot of hands, so gonna just call. Turning a gut shot, and now he should be very careful on this board. We do have a double gut shot now. We could even check raise here, but I'd prefer maybe to do it with a jack of spades. Jack nine of spades. And now we're going to have to bet. And I hope he doesn't have king queen as a give up. It's pretty much like one of the worst hands I'm going to have, given that some of my other drawers have got a pair. So yeah, there's no way we can, you know, it doesn't really matter about much else apart from that. We just have to bet. Opening up the a6 of spades. And we get a call. I think we're going to make this our last hand. Just because I've been playing for a while now, and I want to make sure we can get this into a decent sized video. Betting small to start off with and getting a call, and I think on the turn when we make another draw against a big blind range, he can certainly have like 5-4 still, like 8-5. He might have raised 8-5 at most frequencies. 6-7 he might have raised a lot, so I think he's gonna have a lot of problems with this overbet, and obviously we have a lot of equity when called. And he does fold, and that should be that. Yes, it is. So how did we do? I think we were pretty much break even. Yep. So we played 600 hands and we lost $1. And considering some of the situations we got stitched up with, that is something that I think I'll definitely take. I think if you can scrape we won a lot of pots without seeing the river. So towards the end of the session. So I think with those hands that we had earlier on that were really a bit sick against some weaker players, clearly weaker players, sometimes they're going to go in our favour and we're going to win a couple of buy-ins today. So maybe even a bit more. So I think it's unfortunate. My general reflections are that I found myself adjusting to how many bad players there were more often than I normally do at 10-0. 10-0, there seems to be some solid regs. The pool's a lot bigger, obviously. I saw the same people a lot more, which made me adjust a bit more, I think. But on the whole, people were just terrible. You know, calling in the small blind with queens, you know, really, really nitty players. Some of them are aggressive in there, taking advantage, and I was taking advantage as much as I could. But there really wasn't that many spots, especially towards the end of the session. And I feel like if you're a 10-0 player that can feasibly roll for just a quick shot at 16-0, maybe run it twice on, I definitely think you should try it, because Bean's done it and he was struggling a little bit at 10 with some of the play, and he moved up to 16. I think he would agree. A lot of fish, a lot of bad play, and I think if you're confident, you should try moving up. The rake's lower, the players seem definitely no better, if not worse, and the pool is more focused, so you get a feel for some players a bit more. So I think again for some stronger players, if you feel good at 10-0, I think you should move up to 16 if you feasibly rolled for it. So that's my reflections on that. Bluffing, is bluffing better, which is one of the titles of my previous video? I don't think so when the pool's this fishy. As you can see, I was adjusting a lot in certain spots. Actually, you might not be able to see that because I didn't put a lot of it in. But I think that generally speaking, just play to your strengths and play to, you know, your ranges, and stick to your solid strategy, and then adjust to the plentiful fish that appear to be appearing in this pool. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you soon, not for Quarantine Grind, but for some more content. Hopefully we're going to keep to at least one video a week, hopefully two, and I will see you guys on the next one. Thank you for watching. See you soon.